And we're back. Welcome, everyone, to the Charlie Mike training series hosted by the National Veterans Small Business Coalition. I'm Zach Armstrong, Deputy Executive Director with NVSBC, and I will be your MC today. Before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to share a few announcements and updates. So BAE Systems and Bank of America are making this training possible today as well as throughout the year. So both are strong supporters of NVSBC and the GovCon ecosystem, and I highly encourage you to seek them out at our conferences, at other GovCon conferences, events, and more. Tell them if you enjoy the Charlie Mike training series and the speakers that we bring, and just say thanks for supporting GovCon education. For those of you finding NVSBC for the first time or those who are still learning about all that we provide, we develop the knowledge base and skills for veteran business owners. We connect veteran entrepreneurs within the ecosystem for business opportunities. And we promote policies and acquisition strategies that further VOSB and SDVOSB participation in the federal government. The tenets of who we are about training while we're here today, networking, and advocacy. Our coalition within this GovCon ecosystem, as we describe it, is made up of 4 constituents. It's a simplified way to look at it, but it's most everyone. It's the service disabled and veteran-owned small businesses, the federal agencies, large primes, and service providers that support all of those SDVOSBs as well. Forgive me. There we go. The mouse was not working. So with that, our charity golf tournament hosted by our Education Foundation is set for Monday, August 14th. We have sponsors joining. I'll ask all of those to come participate, be part of a great event that supports small businesses in the federal marketplace. General registration will be up in July, but sponsors are starting to come in as well. So if you're interested, get that foursome secured. Our awards gala, mark your calendars, November 9th. This event, recognizes and honors federal agencies and large GovCon prime contractors that achieve their set-aside goals. So we have 5 different distinct awards. We're at the Army Navy Country Club, we're at the Falls Church Marriott Fairview Park in Falls Church, Virginia. So highly encourage, again, come out for an event that was sold out last year. And again, we're looking to build on that and have another great evening. Our Vets 24 conference. Gloria and I and so many, we're just at our Vets conference, but we already have a date. We're locking in the location. We're really excited. May 21st through 24th. We had 1,100 attendees just a few weeks ago at Vets 23, 68 sponsors, 109 exhibitors, and 105 speakers. So all different. This is a great place to meet, to extend your business, to learn new things, and accomplish your goals. So highly encourage Vets 24. Make sure you're marking your calendars. Our networking dinners, one of our most popular settings. We've had lucky to have Gloria Larkin, who's joining us, help to support, let alone attend. She and her staff attend, but also like in DC, like our hallmark event. We have over 200 people attend those dinners regularly on the second Wednesday of the month. And it's, coupled with 60 minutes of networking. So highly encourage you to attend those. And we're also bringing this across the country. So we've been in Norfolk, Virginia, and Huntsville, Alabama repeatedly, and we're moving into Tampa, Florida, and San Diego, California. So, and as you, as a business owner, and as your professionals on your staff, like, we highly encourage you to attend. There's a lot of opportunity there. Our in-person trainings called VetFed Academy. Again, we've had our guest contribute in many ways here as a subject matter expert. So we bring great speakers from all across the country. We have over 100 attendees on average, again, right before our DC networking dinners. So 60 minutes of training, question and answer, learn from the best, learn what's new in GovCon, and meet a lot of your peers that are probably interested in teaming and partnering. And then last but not least, why we're here today, our Charlie Mike training series, one of our 3 training programs, this one being virtual in nature, hosted on our YouTube channel. So subscribe, like, view, participate, engage. This has kind of gone like gangbusters over the past couple months. So thanks for all your contributions and engagement. All right, lastly, Community Navigator Pilot Program. Our Charlie Mike training series is part of a suite of programs at NVSBC, but they're powered by the Small Business Administration. So many of you, you may or may not know that we're part of a network of supportive organizations that provide free resources to navigate your path to success as a business owner and GovCon professional. If you're interested, I encourage you to reach out to NVSBC, that'd be contact@nvsbc.org, or contact anybody on our staff, and we'll happily set up a session with you. And as I mentioned, I'm your moderator. It's my privilege today. With that, is sending thanks to all of those who sent in questions ahead of time. At the end of this training, I'll be able to ask those to our esteemed speaker, and we'll have a good dialogue. And with that, I get to bring back Gloria Larkin, President and CEO at TargetGov, to the Charlie Mike Training Series. If you are a follower of NVSBC, you'll see Gloria is a trusted agent in our community. Someone that not only believes in, that has just a wealth of knowledge, but is also willing to make a point to give back and to educate all of those who are interested in bettering themselves and bettering their business. So as I was alluding to, Gloria's had a chance to contribute in many ways with the NVSBC, and we're very grateful and thankful for that. But what I'll say personally is every interaction I have with Gloria and our staff, it's impressive. They are very professional. They clearly are very intentional. I'd highly encourage all of you who are watching today, search for TargetGov, see what they offer. I bet there's a lot that you could learn. I know I learn, and that's how I'll transition this over to Gloria. There's always something I refine or I tailor based upon listening to you. So I'm excited to get better today and learn from you. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be part of the series here at the NVSBC and Charlie Mike. As I move into my laptop here, we go. I'm going to move into today's session. And it's all about using your past performance, whether that's past performance in the government marketplace, in the commercial marketplace, wherever you have it, to win more contracts. And this has been a critical factor. And I received that wonderful introduction from Zach. And the middle bullet is really the bullet that I want you to just focus on right now, because our clients have won over $10 billion in federal contracts in just the last few years. So what I am going to share with you today is kind of the insider information to winning more business based on how you can use your past performance. It's all about not looking risky to the federal government customer. So I'm going to start off first by the idea of looking at it from the federal customer mindset. And then we're going to go into different ways that you can position yourself to win more and how you can actually control the narrative, which is exciting to me because that's part of how we've helped our clients win billions, is helping them control the narrative for the government customer. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, let's look at this from the government's perspective. The first bullet is those decision makers really want to know that they can make timely evaluations of contractors who are doing work for them, so that then they can make informed decisions on whether or not they want to do more work for them. So are the contractors performing according to contract? Or are they exceeding performance? Or are they not even making minimal factors in the performance level? Then they want to know, are they sharing this information with other government entities about that company so that whether those services or products can be used by other government entities with a modicum of reliability. This means then, are they mitigating risk factors in doing business with you? Whether you are a prime contractor, are you a subcontractor, or even a teaming partner? All of this is why past performance is so critical. And this last bullet is not legalese, but it's relating to what past performance is in the federal government marketplace. Essentially, past performance means your company was paid to do the work, either provide the services or products, not that you did it previously as an employee somewhere else. And this is often an issue for small business owners who conflate their own experience with their company's past performance. So this is why we want to focus on the company's past performance and why the government wants you to present your company's past performance clearly. But I don't want to ignore what your experience is or what your key employees' experience may be. So let's go there for a minute and talk about the difference between experience as employees somewhere else and past performance where your company was paid to do the work. So experience as an employee somewhere else is generally like reading a resume, and it's usually focused on somebody's technical abilities. That makes sense. Think of a resume kind of format. Experience is often subjective and based on personal opinions. He did a great job when he was working as a program manager for this particular client, and it often includes points of view and judgment. This is not what past performance is. This has a very different approach. Experience is very has a human emotional element to it, and it's often confused as related to employees. That's why when you have your capability statement, you should always title the section past performance and never title it as experience, because past performance is a legal determination, meaning your company provided the following services or products, whereas experience is generally meaning a person provided certain services as an employee, either here or at previous employees. And experience is always read as resumes. So if you, as the owner of the company, if you are writing your past performance like you would write your resume, That's the wrong format. You do not want to write it that way. And often experience is written chronologically as, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and longer, and it's not related to the exact projects at hand. Whereas again, that has absolutely no relation to true past performance. True past performance should only relate to exactly what that customer needs. You should never describe anything that your company did as past performance unless it relates exactly to what that customer needs. And also, you don't want to pull in your partners, your team members, your prime or your subcontractor relationships experiences if they're resume related. You should only focus on company past performance, what those other partners' companies were paid to do, what your team members' companies were paid to do, your prime contractors as companies. So I hope that this is giving you some insight how to separate the concepts of a personal experience, often job related or resume focused, versus a company past performance. Because all that matters in the eyes of federal decision makers is the legal term of past performance, which is trackable and verifiable. You see, that's the other side of this. They want to be able to verify everything that you are listing as past performance. So I'm not going to read all of the bullets that are up on the screen right now. The very last, at the bottom of the last bullet, is a FAR reference, Federal Acquisition Regulation. So this is what the FAR is stating, because of course I am going to give a FAR reference. This is what the government mandates past performance include. This is why government decision makers are so set on it being very specific. But what I did want to point out to you that you may not realize is that it's not just about how good of a job you did. That's what most people focus on. Oh, the customer loved us. The client loved us. They thought we did a great job. That's only a fraction of the information that needs to be part of your past performance references. Look at number 3. The bullet number 3 is forecasting and controlling cost, adherence to schedules. It has nothing to do with whether your customers loved you or not, or how good of the quality of work you did. Look at the next bullet, adhering to the administrative aspects of performance. This needs to be trackable and verifiable in order to answer the requirements as stated in FAR. And then to be reasonable and cooperative in behavior. Now that is also something that is part of a trackable and verifiable past performance. But what I really find interesting is the next 2, including integrity and business ethics, as well as a business-like concern for the interest of the customer. So you can see by studying FAR that these bullets bring out so much more than I did a good job. It also includes cost factors, scheduling factors, administrative elements, behavioral elements, integrity, ethical elements. Believe it or not, for you to get high scores in your past performance, not just in the federal government, I am going to tell you how to do this in the private sector, as well as your city contracts, state contracts, other government contracts, in addition to federal, whether you're a prime or a subcontractor. So now that you're getting a better understanding of the depth of what past performance truly must include from a legal perspective, from what the federal government mandates, now let's get into some of how the government is tracking it. And that's through something called CPARS, CPARS. If you have been a prime contractor, you know about CPARS, and you can access it at a website called, it's easy to get to, it's CPARS.gov. Anything with a .gov at the end is a federal website, and it's free to access. And I know many of you are thinking, well, Gloria, I don't have that yet because I don't have federal contract as primes. That's why I'm here. So hold on for a second, and I will get there in just a moment. This website is created to give those report cards on prime contractors in 8 very important areas so that other government agencies can see how prime contractors are doing everything. And I'll show you what those 8 areas are in just a moment. And this way, this is a past performance rating system that is trackable, verifiable, and measurable, but it's only good for prime contractors. And it will rate them everywhere from at the highs, called exceptional, to very good. The middle rating is satisfactory. And then there are 2 lower ratings that are the kiss of death if you get them. However, even those companies that do have federal prime contracts may never get a CPARS rating if they're classified work. So if you're doing any work in any of the 3-letter agencies, NSA, CIA, etc., they don't track in CPARS. If you're providing work that's not cleared, but it's under the simplified acquisition threshold, meaning under $250,000, there won't be a CPARS record on that either. And that's a shame because you can win totals of millions of dollars worth of business at under $250,000 each chunk, but you still won't have any CPARS ratings. And if you're a subcontractor at any tier, a 1st tier subcontractor, 2nd tier, 3rd tier subcontractor, you'll never have a CPARS rating. So it's no good to you either. If you're doing city or county or municipalities or state government work, you'll never have a CPARS either. And if you're doing commercial or private sector work, you'll never have a CPARS. And guess what? If the contracting officer fails to put your work into CPARS, even if you do have a federal contract, you still won't have a CPARS rating. So there's a lot of limitations to it. But I didn't get to what that fancy color diagram is, and that's right at the very top. even with CPARS, let's say you got past all of these things and you managed to get a CPARS rating. Holy cow, there is a 7-year trend that is represented by the red color called Satisfactory, of it just rising and rising, a satisfactory rating, which means essentially, yeah, you did exactly what was called for in the contract, no more. And that's not really helpful to win contracts if all you achieve is a satisfactory rating. What you want is the green rating, which is very good, and that's kind of flat or even on a downward trend. Or ideally, what you used to want is the exceptional rating, meaning, wow, this company knocked it out of the ballpark. They hit a home run for us. We literally love them. That's represented by that blue color. And over the last 7 years, those ratings have tanked. Government contracting officers are just giving fewer and fewer and fewer exceptional ratings. And there's many, many, many reasons for that. And I want you to be able to turn that trend around. If you're winning as a prime contractor, I want you to kick those satisfactory ratings in the butt and get very good or exceptional so you can win more. And if you're winning as a subcontractor, if you're winning other government like city, county, state government work, I want you to be able to get high ratings from those customers, even without using this website called CPARS.gov. If you're in the private sector, I want you to get those high ratings on your own. And this is now what we're going to spend the whole rest of this session talking about. How can you beat these CPARS limitations? One of the best ways in the world to do it is to create your own customer service tracking system that you control. It's internal to your company. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to pay anybody anything. You own it. You're even going to brand it, put your own logo on it, put your own company name on it. And today I'm actually going to give it to you simply because you're part of the NVSBC webinar. And if you haven't joined NVSBC yet, simply today gives you reason to join it because of webinars just like Charlie Mike and getting this valuable information. Then you use this incredible customer service system to document your entire customer service lifespan, whether they are your customer for a day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, 10 years, however long they are a customer of yours. You want to document their relationship with you and how happy they are with all of the work or products you are providing for them. And it works for both services and products. And in order to satisfy the federal government, it must include 8 areas. Those 8 areas are noted here: quality assurance, schedule or timeliness, whether or not the customer is satisfied. You know, a lot of people think past performance is only about customer satisfaction, but look at this, it's only one of 8. There's 7 other elements that are important. management, personnel or labor, the cost side and financial management of the contract, safety and security, CMMC compliance, and all other general elements to the contract itself. So let's talk about creating your internal customer experience rating system. If you have one, a lot of people say we have a great quality program. Our customers love it. Well, you may already have one. If you have happy customers, you must be doing something on a quality assurance process. Maybe you have ISO 9000, or maybe you have a process already in place. If you do, have you named it? Have you branded it? Have you trademarked it? Think about that. You should do all of the above. What this does is it also creates a consistency in your customer service process. Whether your customer is federal or commercial or city, county, state, all customers can participate and be part of this customer experience rating system. The best part is when it's internal to your company, you own it, you control it. And what that means is you control then who receives it, when they receive it, the narrative that is being told. You know, customers always will have issues, always. And many times they're issues we can address as the vendor, and it's how we address them that then determines whether that client or customer is satisfied or dissatisfied. And oftentimes those issues are beyond our control, but it's still how we address them that determines whether that customer is satisfied or dissatisfied, even if those issues are beyond our control. Normally, it's a communication process that will satisfy a client, even if initially they were dissatisfied. So by including your customer in regular communication, which I will get to how this will work in just a moment, your chances of getting as high a rating as possible through the lifespan of that engagement really increase dramatically. You know, and that engagement may be a short engagement, or it could be a multi-year relationship that you develop with that customer. But by having this internal customer experience rating system, you then, whatever your initial starting point is, you then have the ability to improve at every point in time. Whereas most contractors wait until the end of the contract and then, if at all, ask the customer, well, how did we do? And by then, often it's too late to rectify any challenges at all. And that's not what we want you to do. Instead, we want you to start early and often, and we'll tell you how in a minute. But before I get there, I think I'm going to show you something next that is going to be a huge eye-opener for you. This is something brand new, totally brand new. The government is now using AI or artificial intelligence tools to search, targets to find out more information about past performance. The reason I'm telling you this is you can do something about these targets that they're searching. They really are putting out data scraping tools to find out about contractors before they reach out to contractors on specific opportunities. Some of these these targets, you have total control over what's in them, like your SAM registration, your SBA registration, your professional and socioeconomic certification, and of course, CPARS. So did you know in your SBA profile as a small business, it has an entire section on past performance where you put in whatever past performance you have. So if you have past performance in the private sector and you don't have it listed in your SBA profile, these data scraping tools will never see it. You're invisible for that past performance. So action item is look at your SBA profile at the past performance section and put all of your private sector past performance in it that you want them to know about. If you have city, county, local governments, state governments, past performance, put it in your SBA profile. If you have subcontractor past performance, it's nowhere else, put it in your SBA profile so that these data scraping tools will see all that fabulous past performance you have. That will make a huge difference in these artificial intelligence tools finding you when they're looking for small businesses who can prove that they've done the work they've done. If you take nothing else away, know that these artificial intelligence tools are in work right now as you and I are, as I'm speaking and you're listening to this. You don't have to have a CPARS record in order to do this. No, just be registered in sam.gov, which you are, as well as if you're a small business, which most of you are, then you already have an SBA profile. And I know that 90% of small businesses do not have your past performance effectively filled out. How do I know that? Because we have analyzed over 5,000 small businesses and over 90% of them regularly do not have any past performance at all noted. And of those that do, some of it is so old, it has absolutely no relative effect. Okay. Other sources would be financial resources and for performance capability statements. They also want to know what kind of professional trainings and certifications. So those associations and those professional organizations who provide those kinds of certifications, PMP, etc., whatever data they can scrape from there, they are. They will ask for questionnaires to be filled out. And if you are receiving market surveys, that's part of those questionnaires. They will ask for specific financial data. They may even ask for personnel records or scrape LinkedIn, believe it or not. Yes, that is exactly happening. They'll look at commercial sources such as Dun & Bradstreet for financial records as well. Absolutely, that is happening. They will, of course, look at pre-award meeting notes. You know, government, when they have pre-award meetings, there are records kept of who attends and other records that are searched by these artificial intelligence data scraping tools. Closeout meetings from contracts are being searched as well. all of these other sources of publicly available information. It could even be catalogs that you have posted on your website if they're looking for specific products. Whatever other information could be anywhere on the internet. It's all being searched by these artificial intelligence and data scraping tools, not least of which is social media. Remember, in FAR, those 2 bullets that mentioned business ethics, integrity, and the other elements of treating your customers. Remember, social media, your posts may be taken into account. Whatever your personal positioning is, if you're posting in social media and these artificial intelligence tools are finding them, just know that can be taken into account in your past performance records as well. It's all data scrapeable. It's kind of scary, but you need to know it. So this system that I'm going to make available to you, you want to do this whether you have a contract or a task order. You want to engage every acquisition and your program level personnel throughout the entire lifespan, whether that's a week-long lifespan, a year-long, 5 years, however long the contract or task order is. Guess what? Always frame the interaction as customer service communication. You don't want to just call up and say, so how are things going? You want to request a customer service briefing. So this becomes an official part of the customer service record with an agenda and a purpose, where you're documenting every participant, where the date is, the time, even location, virtual or in person. And if it's virtual, ask permission to record. Never record without permission, of course. Sending a recap is critical because this is where it becomes part of the official record. And then that's where you also in this meeting ask for exploring upcoming needs, because you want to, of course, build more business with this particular customer, right? It's not just about the business at hand, but it's also about the future business. Now let's talk about how to get these exceptional ratings or very good ratings, because remember I said they were tanking. Exceptional and very good ratings were tanking in the official CPARS, and we want you instead to get exceptional and very good ratings. Well, first you need to know when the contract starts, what does it take to get exceptional? So when you have the kickoff meeting, when you have all of the decision makers together in your contract kickoff meeting, ask, what are the criteria to achieve an exceptional CPARS on this contract? They probably have never been asked that before. So give them a minute to gather their thoughts. I'm going to take a drink of water. And be prepared to start asking them, such as, our timeline on this work would be, give them some suggestions based on what you would think exceptional would be. If the timeline is 9 months and you said if we were able to complete this in 8.5 months, would that make it an exceptional rating? And they may say, well, no, that would make it very good. And you'll write that down. 8.5 months equals very good. Okay, well, then if I did it in 8.25 months, so now you start identifying the criteria for very good and exceptional. This is important to do when you start the contract, because then you can set deliberate goals to achieve. If you don't ask when you start, you're just guessing. And guessing is kind of an impossibility to achieve. As you are tracking, then you want to report on that tracking, those successes, to your contracting officer. Now, let's just say you're in progress. You say, Gloria, that's great when I'm starting, but right now I'm in progress on 3 contracts. How can I get a very good or exceptional rating on the contracts I'm working right now? Well, then you start right now with a customer service meeting. And in those 8 elements, and I'm going to, as part of what we're giving you as a handout today, we're going to give you those criteria and how the scoring system is. That's all part of our handout today. You're going to ask questions related to each one and get their feedback. And they'll say, well, satisfactory, you're satisfactory on this. And you'll ask them, what do I need to do to get to very good? Listen to them, write it down so that you can achieve it. And then provide all of the supporting verbiage to the contracting officer before they actually write their own CPARS. So ideally, by reporting on every meeting, you are giving them a history of your improvement all the way along the contract. We have found that when our clients have done this, contracting officers love them literally because they just made their job so easy, because all they have to do is copy paste directly from these reports into CPARS, and their exceptionals and very goods are all documented. And when you receive a CPARS rating, always respond to it, always. Even if they give you a very good or exceptional, always respond and make sure that you use keywords and phrases related to upcoming opportunities that you want to pursue in your response, so that you can then be found by those data scraping tools that are looking for those keywords and phrases. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, reach out to that questions at targetgov.com at the bottom of the screen, and I'd be happy to explain that to you and have a little bit of one-on-one. And by the way, if you're listening to this as a recording at any point in time, at any point in time, 24/7, you can reach out to us at that email. Now, we are happy to answer any questions you have about this or any of our other elements, data points that we're talking about. Here's a sample of one of the handouts that we're going to give you. It will give you all 8 sections, and this is one on customer service. In the first column, this is exactly what the government wants to know. We did not make this up. This is not TargetGov's creation. This is literally what the government says they want to know. And then those circles are exceptional, very good, satisfactory, marginal, unsatisfactory, not applicable. So these are exactly what the government wants to see, and you will receive this from us. In our handout, the tool called the TargetGov CPARS Tracker. It's a trademark tool, but because you are part of the NVSBC webinar, Charlie Mike webinar series, we are giving it to you complimentary. Simply email us at fast@targetgov.com, and you must indicate Charlie Mike Capture Past Performance handouts in the subject line, because otherwise we won't know how you heard of us. And we will send you this. It's in a format that you can easily use. You do not need a special program. There's no subscription. There's no cost to it for you, because you are part of the Charlie Mike webinar series attendees. And we'll get that to you right away as soon as you email us, along with the session slides. And you'll be able to fine tune the tracker tool, use that as the basis for your internal customer service process. And by the way, if you haven't joined the NVSBC, make sure you do, because not only will you receive access to more Charlie Mike webinars, but extraordinary, helpful speakers and information throughout the year through NVSBC. So I'm going to turn this back over to you,
Yeah,
Zach.
Gloria, I loved it. Very specifically, I like three things about it. Something like we talk about as a staff and as we're like building our coalition resource wise, like when we talk about AI and chat GPT and how to use that, like, it's on the forefront. You got to try to find a way to use it. Like, I think we heard down that at the conference as well. So those gov tools and know how they're searching and scraping, that was lovely. That was super, that was interesting and helpful. The next was like asking and like using the criteria for like the an exceptional CPAR, like putting that back on them, but also having ideas of like, this is what we think, what do you think, like having that dialogue. I thought that was really informative. And then lastly,
Great.
like that CPARS tracker, like I'm interested, I want to see that as well. So thank you. Like this is all like innovative, and I think you'll get a heck of a response here. So um,
Terrific.
but with that, so we did have some questions, Gloria. So I think roughly five. I think some of it you addressed already, but some of it, like I think you could reiterate or put like a concrete answer to. The first had to do with like commercial work. Like, how do you present work that's done like the commercial arena? What comes to mind for you?
That is a normal situation. And I'm so glad that question was asked, because the government actually loves it if you bring commercial past performance to the table. A lot of people think, well, I don't have government past performance, so I'm out of luck. But no, no, no. If you can bring commercial past performance to the table, that's actually, in some cases, ideal, because often commercial past performance means you're staying at the cutting edge, you're staying relevant, you're staying on top of things. And that's what the government is looking for. So by using this tracker tool, even though it says CPARS tracker tool, it's really overall past performance. So you can use this tracker tool for your commercial customers as well. And it speaks in the government language, but your customers in commercial will totally understand, what the difference is between invoicing on time. That's the same in commercial, as well as where it was safety and security adhered to, et cetera. So bringing commercial past performance to the table is wonderful, and I highly encourage you to document and have your commercial customers participate in this customer service process.
Oh, I appreciate that. Okay, a couple similar questions in that regard. What are your suggestions or considerations for how you present work as a subcontractor in terms of past performance? Like, what is different? What are your suggestions?
So this is challenging, because whether it's in government or not, the prime contractor kind of holds the key to this. And so it's important to have communication with your prime, because occasionally the prime contractor will say, you cannot tell anybody that you are a sub to us. They want it to be secret, and plus you cannot talk to the customer. So you kind of have to do your work, whether it's providing products or services, kind of on the down low. Yeah, they're paying you, but they want you to remain invisible. So let's use an example in past performance. You would be able to say, let's use the private sector and say, for instance, you were a subcontractor to somebody working in the banking industry, but the prime says you can't use our name. So you would say banking industry is where you're working, and you would state subcontractor in banking industry providing XYZ services or products. However, it will be important that you are allowed to give that prime contractor's name and phone number as a reference to the actual customer when they need it. And usually that's fine. You know, when the FBI or Health and Human Services says, yes, we want to work with you and we want to call them and validate this, I've actually never seen a business say, no, you can't use that.
Yeah. That was really helpful. Like, that was helpful to hear your perspective on that. Like, there is a way to generalize that, but to provide enough information where you can go back and receive specialized more detail later.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Another
if
question. Yeah.
one more thing, if I may, about that, never imply that you were the prime, though. So I've seen some small businesses do this and it kind of bites them in the butt really fast, because let's say they're the subcontractor to Army, and the prime, they just never say that they're a sub. They just put Army. We provided such and such services for the Army. And, contracting officers know how to find that out. And so they go looking for that company as a prime at the Army, and they never see them as the prime. And right away, they get a big old L slapped on their forehead, and worse, they get a red flag. And therefore, it looks like they lied.
Yeah. So that,
And
again, to the fundamental crux of the question, then it's, you need to be clear and present
yes,
it in such a way where everyone knows you're the subcontractor.
right. And
Yeah.
there's no negative to being a sub. It's not a bad thing to be a sub. It's normal, it's natural, it's profitable.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say a subcontractor serving the Army. And then you can go into details when the actual customer is asking for references.
I love this. I think a lot of the folks joining our coalition or coming to our counseling sessions, a lot of them are looking for more subcontracting opportunities, trying to get in the door to eventually get prime. So it's
Sure.
particularly salient that way. All right, and a couple more questions. One said, how can you use local performance to convince a prime to give you an opportunity for a subcontract? What are your thoughts or considerations there, Gloria?
So that is a beautiful past performance to start with. And I'm thinking what they meant by that, because when they say local,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they mean they want to broaden their geography or broaden their scope of ability. So one way to do it is to use metrics around that service or product that they provided. So for instance, if they provided, let's say in staffing, they provided some FTEs. How many FTEs, full-time, full-time equivalent people did they provide? Did they provide 10 FTEs, or did they provide people that could work for 200 or 2,000 hours? Put metrics around it. It didn't matter that they were local. You don't have to highlight that they were local. You just start focusing in on the metrics of the work that you did. And that could be the same whether it's construction. How many square feet of work did you provide? It could be code or lines that you've written, or it could be how many laptops that you installed and delivered. When you start putting metrics around it, the issue of localness just disappears, and
Yep.
you are then serving wherever that prime needs you to serve.
It's great. It's just another way to present yourself. It's saying the same message, but it's saying it in a way that's going to resonate with that a CEO and everyone.
Yes.
Okay, last question I have for you that came from our registrants, or how do you best present work done as training dollar purchases?
We're working with somebody right this moment on this challenge, because training dollar purchases are almost always small purchases. Because they're usually onesie twosie kinds of training classes at a time, and people sign up for them individually. And I think that's what this person is talking about here. And again, it's more of a metric kind of thing. So if you're providing classes on Excel, and the classes are maybe, $750 per series of class, you don't have to just focus on just the lower dollar volume. If you're trying to win a larger contract, you could say, we have provided Excel training at 10,000 hours of training. When you take the metric of how many classes you've provided for how many people over the total number of years you've been in business. So it's one thing to look at the individual smaller dollar values for simplified acquisition, quick buys or credit card buys, something along those lines. It's another thing to be able to broaden it and give a total metric of total dollars that have been purchased ever since you started providing those training classes. And that gives a full capacity that you've been able to provide ever since you started providing trainings. Does that make sense?
It does. Like, I think this is fundamental. I've heard this in a couple different ways, but that, like, you have to understand your outputs and different, how do you shape that to who's going to receive that information? And like, that was great. The frequency, or like the total numeric metric versus like the dollar amount, or the total training purchases. So that was really helpful. So with that, like, I do want to say, Gloria, as we start to wrap this up, on behalf of our board of directors, our staff, all of the members of our coalition, I want to say thank you for making time, sharing your wisdom, sharing new information as well. Like, this is, cutting edge, as I was, sharing some of that with you. But I just want to say thank you very, very simply. I always learn something from you. I know if folks are going to watch this video, they're going to learn something too. I hope they follow up with you and your staff. Again, just very, very grateful that you made time. With that, like, I want to thank our sponsors, BAE Systems and Bank of America, for contributing to make this possible. And for everyone watching, thanks for being part of the coalition. Come be part of what we have. All kinds of activities and events. Some are free, some are networking dinners. There's a lot of value you can glean. Our staff is happy to chat with you. You can contact us anytime at contact@nvsbc.org. And we look forward to seeing you at events. So with that, until next time, take care, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.